o'clock. So I guess we end up getting into that. We get into that some of that discussion. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to go ahead and let's see, you know what I'm saying, and kick it off. And I see we got some participants here. I don't know who all on.
Yeah, we ain't got them yet. So uh, let's go and kick it off now. Two, three. Hi, my name is John Miles, and I want to thank everyone in regards to joining us with Where Do We Go From Here? Um, this right here, really a discussion that we want to have with men, especially of men of color, in regards to this year, 2020, has really been a rough year. Uh, we're here to cultivate conversations that focus on self-reflection, self-evaluation on the various topics that we really feel are important, especially to men of color. Topics such as manhood, fatherhood, what it means to be a provider and protector, dealing with depression, race-based trauma, mental health, and managing stress. We will attempt to have those discussions. See, men have often been placed in the box by society, family, and their own expectations. Men often do not talk about their feelings, hide their emotions, and are expected to show strength despite the stress that they encounter. See, but men have emotions too. We experience conflict, struggles, and misfortunes and find it difficult to find a safe haven. So most men suffer in silence with shame, guilt, or embarrassment. We want to try to have that safe haven here. We want to have that safe space here. So today we want to provide an empowering, uplifting space to explore these experiences, thoughts, and perceptions, how it has impacted our lives, how it has impacted everyone that they encounter. This is a space to have open communication. We know stress alone is killing our men, especially men of color, at a higher rate. Hopefully, through some self-reflection and honest and open communication, we'll be able to create our own self-care rituals and strategies to move forward. Along with me today, Brother Ken Ross, uh, Trinity Child Care Center in Chicago, Illinois, and I'm with the Wayne County Fatherhood Initiative here in Detroit, Michigan. So once again, we welcome and thank all for those who are currently online and for those that will be continually to come on in. We openly respect and expect your contribution in regards to the conversation. As individuals, we can only speak about our own experiences, but to realize that men from all over the country are either going through similar issues, facing similar barriers, and then there may be some new experiences and new barriers that we have no idea in regards to what's going on. So feel free in regards to engaging and we can have a healthy conversation. Let me introduce you to my co-host, Mr. Ken Ross.
Thank you, John. And I look forward to this conversation. You know what I'm saying? I hope it be a lively conversation, engaging, and we honestly share some of the things that's on our mind. This is a platform to give us the opportunity as men to discuss, you know what I'm saying, issues as you stated earlier, John. Sometimes men we have this phobia of not wanting to express, you know what I'm saying, some of the emotional things that we go through as men. So this gives us that opportunity as well. You know what I'm saying? Men, they seek counsel upon men. So this is one of the things that I look for trying to create out this venue. And hopefully we can continue this, you know what I'm saying, over the period of time and try to set up an agenda where we start, you know what I'm saying, taking away some functional things that we can take away from this discussion and utilize in our own lives, either as men, fathers, in relationships, and all of that. So I look forward to that.
I'm sorry, I mean to interrupt you. We have a person who's trying to get in named Lamont.
Yeah, that's me there. Good. How y'all gentlemen doing?
Okay.
I'm in.
He's in.
Man, cool.
All right, doing great, doing great. I'm loving this. Before we start, I do have a video by Van Jones. This happened after the part of the election was finally finished and completed. I just want to share this with you all for a moment, and then we can really go in from there.
Okay.
Give me a moment so I can go ahead and hunt it down.
Hey, John, before you start the video, can I just want to do a little round robin right quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, the brothers, all the brothers that's on, you know what I'm saying, go by one and introduce themselves, you know, and all know who we are, you know.
My name is Sheik Evans Ill. I'm honored to be here today among some good brothers. And I'm just looking forward to sharing what I have and learning something new as well.
My name is Lamonte Barnes. My daughter Gabrielle attends Dean Brooks, and I'm just excited to be here. And thank y'all for the opportunity and for this. We need more of these round tables, you know, brothers, men, fathers. So it really makes a difference and help out. So I worked with Ken in the past. Appreciate all that you do, and the other brothers here. You know, just trying to help build a village.
My name is Stephen Alexander. I am family service workers at Deacon Brooks. First time in a session like this. I'm looking forward to many more and looking forward to all you gentlemen's input.
Hi, I'm Richard Grundy, and I'm also a family service worker at Wright Center. I work with 3 to 5, and I'm excited about today's discussion.
Okay. Mr. Burns, still with us. All right. Well, y'all all know me. You know, I'm not a mystery. You know, but one of the roles and function that I do participate in is coordinating fatherhood events with Trinity Child Care. I know this year has been kind of challenging due to the COVID. You know, so that's why me and Brother John, we try to partner to create this Zoom. You know what I'm saying? At least we can still connect with the brothers, you know what I'm saying? In spite of us not being able to, you know what I'm saying, meet face to face. You know, we got to continue to connect with that bond among ourselves, you know what I'm saying, and have these hefty discussions. So with that, John.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it to the file. It's not popping up. So you know what? We're not even we're just gonna go ahead and take it forward. Today we really want to talk about, really want to open up and talk about first the dealing with the COVID-19 issue. Especially now that it's been roughly about 8 months. It really hit us hard, you know, for something so unexpected, to provide a environment of isolation. You know, men of color, we like to communicate face to face up front. We are a physical type of people. You know, when we greet each other, we got the brotherly hug, we got the grip and all of that. Due to this COVID-19, it really pushed us to an uncomfortable environment. One, not knowing how it affected, but where does it come from? What did we have to fear per se in regards to whether it's a difference in the weather, a difference in temperature change, being around certain people? What are the signs that we're looking for? You know, they kept saying in regards to social distancing, which it shouldn't have been, but they kept saying social isolation. We don't like to be isolated. So then we were forced in regards to being at home, you know, not going to work. And that became a different environment over time. If we are not used to spending time with our kids, with our mates, it was kind of an unusual situation where we had to adjust to that. But here we are coming to a part 2 or part 3 or part 4, depending on your community, where the numbers have increased again. We were able to return somewhat part-time basis to our particular employment per se, but then it knocked us back again. I just want to really, I can tell you personally, when it first hit me, even though I was already working from home, it was still my issues, my problems, my despair was being able to reach out to fellow men like myself and just to communicate and sit down and bond and express feelings. And I did adjust to that, but as time went on, it really affected those moments when I just really wanted to have a face-to-face sit down and talk with my brothers. And it became hard on me. I found my emotions going back and forth. It was like an ebb and flow. How was the impact in regards to, and anybody can come through, how was the initial impact for you as COVID-19 and the certain restrictions in your areas came about? What was your adjustment?
Well, for me, it was just not being able to move around like my normal day, having to adjust to wearing a mask, you know, getting out my car every time I get go back and I left my mask, things like that. You know, so it was just everyday simple things that I couldn't do or have access to.
I know it impacted me in such a way where, you know, I'm a social type of person too, as you state, John. We like to meet face to face. You know what I'm saying? I like the, you know, the camaraderie. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's one of the ways that have impacted me as far as eliminating, you know what I'm saying, the people that I associate with. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I like to check in on brothers to make sure they doing well. I had to do a well-being check on one of the brothers the other day. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I haven't been able to communicate with him. So I like, let me go over here and check in on him. You know what I'm saying? To make sure he all right. You know what I'm saying? You know, especially like you said, as we get older, you know what I'm saying? We dismiss symptoms. You know what I'm saying? So if we have certain symptoms, we dismissed it, you know what I'm saying, as, you know, minor cough, you know what I'm saying, minor headache, minor fever, whatever it may be. And we do our little home remedies, you know what I'm saying? We don't go to the doctors like that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we had to change up how we, you know, this the new norm. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I try one thing that I try not to do is transfer the fields of society, how we adopt the fields of society through this news media outlet, you know what I'm saying? And transfer that down to my daughter. You know what I'm saying? She fully aware at 7 years old, she understands what COVID is. You know, she understands the protocol of wearing a face mask, et cetera, et cetera. But I try not to transfer those fears to her as well, as the result of, you know, as how they always estimate how many people died off this, how many people, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, trying to have healthy conversations with her is a challenge as well. You know what I'm saying? In spite of all this new information that's coming out with the media. And another thing, you know, as black men, you know what I'm saying, we skeptical of this US government, especially when we talking about when we come down to the vaccinations and all this and that. You know what I'm saying? So we scrutinize these things as well. So, Me personally, you know what I'm saying? I question the fact because I'm aware of, you know what I'm saying, the United States history and how it comes down to experimentation with our people. You know what I'm saying? So, how did I deal with my not trusting the government and at the same time maintain my health? You know what I'm saying? I can't dismiss the fears of what COVID is doing and how devastating it is. But at the same time, I don't trust this government information neither. You know what I'm saying? So I'm in like, you know what I'm saying, a dual situation, whereas, the best thing for me is to try to protect my health. That's just my point.
Oh, exactly, and that was the thing I was going to hit on next in regards to the trust issue. It's like, who do you trust? Your local officials, those that are connected in regards to medical. What information are you like putting your all in? Like I said, because it's not like it was addressed as the normal cold or flu. If you feel a sneeze, if you feel a chill, then this is roughly what you might be heading towards being affected by, a flu or a cold or something like that. We all know that if the temperature drops, you go outside without a coat, you're subjected to catch a cold. But now it's something where it's like you can have the symptoms, you can have everything and not show it. Person next to you can have the same thing, show it or not show it. It's like, what do I do? And then to try to educate our children, our family in regards to it. Telling your kids that, hey, you have to wear a mask for X amount of hours a day. We have a situation now. My daughter, she's finishing up getting her master's, and she's part of a sorority, so she's kind of like busy per se. And we are steadily on her in regards to, do you really feel it's safe for you to go to this event? Do you know, in regards to the environment that you'll be in, protect yourself? But how does it affect your psyche in regards to, I'm in these four walls 24/7, 7 days a week with no outlet? Here I got a car full of gas. It's like, where am I going other than to the store and coming right back? There's a lot of things that really, I think during the first wave, really didn't think about. It's like we never thought about what we were being cut off from until we started reaching out. I had brothers that were calling in regards to dealing with friend of the court issues. It's like, now how do I do this? I'm going to the store and I need some items. The shelves are bare. Where do I go? How do I do this? The daylight hours were long during the early part of the year, not getting dark until 8, 9 o'clock. And all this sunshine, what do I do? What do I do in my time instead of sitting here? It's a lot of things that, as the days and the weeks and the months went by, it was something that we realized that I'm being cut off from, and really, I even dealt with slight moments of depression in regards to just looking around like, damn, I'm used to being out in the public. I'm used to talking with men, I'm not a telephone person. So it's like trying to adapt, it became hard. But now we're in this other way. What are some of the things that we've learned in regards to trying to adapt now?
Right. Brother Lee,
Yes, sir.
what's going on with your brother?
Swear, man, I'm just sitting here listening to you brothers and taking it all in. So, as I expressed my feelings and how I felt at the time of hearing about COVID-19 and what it meant to me. Immediately when I heard about it, it invoked the thought in my mind. I was looking on the news in the early 2000s when I believe it was Harvard High School and the University of Chicago and a few other high schools and hospitals back then were doing these drills just in case of biological chemical warfare. And and back then I remember it was being reported that there was a shortage of masks and things of that nature that we would probably need in the wake of a biological attack. And I remember also that, like I remember when I heard that report, anytime if they're running a drill for it, then that means that we might as well be getting ready for something like that to happen. COVID-19, coronavirus, whether it is what they call it or it's something else, we know that it is something out here harming us, and killing people. But here's my thing. This is not the first time this has showed up. We knew this as we under another name, H1N1 or the SARS virus, right? But at that time they would say that it was jumping from an animal into the human, and now this time around it's moving from human to human. But somehow it started from some kind of mysterious animal in China. But however it goes, and this is why we don't trust, because our intelligence gets insulted in the midst of some crap like this. And we as real men, as men who are providers and men who are cautious and aware and men who are protectors of their family, when we hear crap that just don't make sense and add up, we are already getting on guard of a government or anybody else that we are already weary of. So having said that, we're fighting something here that's invisible. That's already just fearful and have you cautious. It's invisible. It's something that we never saw, had to experience before. And in the midst of it all, what really makes us, I believe, anxious and have anxiety is the fact that our youngins, our children are not listening, really. And we got some old heads that's not either, and I think that they are just dealing with that in the best way that they know how. But our job as fathers are to figure out a way to provide them with the kind of knowledge and wisdom that they're going to need in order to fight this in the present day and in the future as we go. That's my piece for that.
Right. And we really have to stay focused on that, really. I have a son also who just had his first baby girl, and
Right.
I still haven't. I've seen she's 8 months old. I've only seen her one time in person, physically, And so as a grandfather, I'm used to. I grew up. I was born in the '60s, so I'm used to a community. Baby, baby is born, the whole family is there, and we celebrate it. And it's become, to the point where I'm trying to help educate him in regards to being a father, being a new dad, but doing it via phone, trying to text and call, Facebook is not the same. It's truly not the same. And really just trying to help him along the way. It really becomes difficult, even though, you try to figure out a new way, as they say, this is the new norm, trying to help him out, but I'm still struggling, day to day. So, but just like you said before, Mr. Evans, in regards to This is not new. You know, if you notice that number at the end said COVID-19, it's just been different variations. They just tried to add new names to a situation that really, you can say I'm a conspiracist, whatever, something that they've created. You know, something that they've put out there, and we've seen really in what communities it has largely affected. You know, I even added to the point where it's just a coincidence for something like this to happen during the time when we're having the census count, during the time that we're having the elections. It's like all this happening all at the same time, you know.
Mhm.
So, you know, call me a conspiracist, but I call it for what it is.
That's called a realist. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, it's kind of right in front of your face, so to speak. You know, it had effect. Once again, my name is Lamonte Barnes, but had affected me is how it affected my child. I got a 4-year-old, and seeing her, the psychological level that it had on her, and trying to help her understand and cope with, and hear her cry with when it first hit. You know, those first few weeks, that first month, we was isolated in the house. That was the biggest challenge, and then also just because I work in the field, I work for AT&T, and I go in and out of people's homes every day. So to see the effect that it has on different families, and how these other kids are struggling, you know, with this e-learning, with this, you know, it's and a lot of people just don't have the means or the resources or the finance to do what they're supposed to do. You know, everybody jumping on the $10 AT&T or Comcast internet thing, you know, right now, and it's just like I said, it's overwhelming. If you just watch it, like I said, to be there, to go in the homes and see what's really going on behind the scenes. We could put on a facade in front out in the streets all day, but the reality is when you come back home, and a lot of people's home, schools and work was their scapegoat, and not just for grown folk. I'm talking about children. You know, and I see what go on, and I just say, you know, if you know someone or family, just reach out, make sure that sister okay. You know, because it's a lot of people out here struggling too. That's the other part. And through the grace of God, my wife worked from home. Like I said, my job's still flowing. You know, but like I said, it's just the psychological part of it with the kids, and that's what's important. I feel like that's what we could come in as men to try to help with those certain situations that's going on.
One thing, thanks for highlighting that there too, because you just mentioned two key important things. And John, you started off by asking the question, how do it affect us mentally and emotionally? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And one of the struggling part of it is, as the brother just mentioned about that e-learning. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? That within itself, you know what I'm saying, put pressure and stress within the household. You know what I'm saying? It's like you got to go back to school.
Yeah.
The system of e-learning, the way it's designed, you know, I got a 7-year-old. You know, she got to be monitored while she in class. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm working, that means one of the parents got to alternate
Mhm.
to be there with her as she going through class. You know, so that puts stress on the relationship, that puts stress within the household, you know, not to mention your child. You know, their attention span is just like that. But yet,
Mhm.
you know, the school system, you know, mandated they got to sit in front of the computer for basically 7 hours, you know. So how do people cope with that? You know what I'm saying? How is that affecting your household? You know, how is that affecting your mental health? You know what I'm saying? Dealing even with that particular part.
I see,
But
Lita,
see,
you got your hand up. Or was that just
Oh, yes, well, I was just, well, let me just go ahead and address what Ken was just demonstrating. Uh, yeah, definitely. When you consider also, I think to couple with that, that like the brothers say, he works with ComEd and he's in and out of people's homes and their houses, and you may be following all the instructions that they may give you on how to protect yourself when you're entering these homes, but the people in those homes are not, they're not
right.
addressed into that. And so you live with that fear, with that anxiety that I may have to take this back to my house with my children, my grandchildren, and that's a stress within itself as well. You know what I mean? And yeah, I totally agree with you, Ken, on how when you have to consider that your child is going to school and someone got to be there. And in some cases, a lot of us are single parents, unfortunately, but that's our reality. And with child care being down, and if child care isn't, who's going to trust their child amongst other children? In this case, not, trying to speak ill of the children, but our reality is real. Like you said, their attention span is like that. They're not going to hear all this not to touch each other, not to be 6 feet away from one another. 6 feet up, and this is interesting to me. If anyone remember, it started out 6 feet social distancing, and then it came back 10 feet social distancing, and somehow we're back at 6 feet social distance. I'm just saying, if the adults are not getting it right, if the so-called leaders aren't getting it right, if the so-called scholars and doctors aren't getting it right, how do we expect our 7-year-old, 6-year-old, 10-year-olds who have the attention span, like the good brother said, to do it exactly as it should go? And you want me to send my child to child care if it's available. So yeah, that within itself is stressing as well.
Exactly. I think somebody else was going to make a comment just before Mr. Evans.
I want to introduce a good friend of mine. I've been knowing him for a long time, and he's doing great things in the community. He has different platforms that he discusses. He is also a martial arts instructor. Am I correct, McQuinn?
I'm sorry. I hear you, brother. My children over here giving me the flux right now.
I understand, but he does things in the community, so I invited him. So he is a martial arts instructor. He has several platforms that he talks with. So I just like to. He can say something else if he wants to about himself.
All right, welcome, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you for inviting me.
That's what's up.
Yeah, and we welcome all those that have just or in the last few moments that have checked in. Currently, we're discussing the emotional, mental, and physical barriers that we had to face during in regards to facing COVID-19, especially as men of color, how it has affected not only ourselves individually, but our communities and our everyday way of life. Once again, my name is John Miles. I'm from Wayne County Fatherhood Initiative here in Detroit, Michigan. And my co-host is Mr. Ken Ross from Chicago, Illinois with Trinity Child Care Centers. And once again, like I said, we welcome all those that have come in, and this is an open dialogue and engagement. We can only speak for ourselves, and the more that we can share in regards to our own personal experiences, even our own personal expectations. Because I've never walked in your shoes, you've never walked in mine, but being that we can share conversation and dialogue, I feel it would make us stronger in the end, no matter which community that we originated from or currently live in. So once again, thank you all for coming.
Thanks for having me.
All right, cool. So, John, let's move on to some of the other current topics. What's going on as far as the social unrest? We talked about the political issues of the election, you know what I'm saying? So, that's a high anxiety within itself, you know what I'm saying? Dealing with the Trump situation, and then you got the Trump supporters, you know what I'm saying, that exemplifies, you know what I'm saying, the social injustices all across the country. At the same time, amplified, that used to be at one point covert racism, but it got a platform now, it's overt racism, you know what I'm saying? So, what y'all thoughts in regards to that as Black men in America?
Well, I don't see it right. So a lot of people, we see the racism, but the fact that 18% and hate is now diverse. It's no longer just a Caucasian thing when 18% Black males decided to put their vote next to that, right? And we have to take a look at the gangs differently, right? They call theirs or groups. Yours is gangs, negatively impacting consistently our culture. For me, it's for us to, in my opinion, I believe we truly have to begin to lead on a bigger magnitude. One, you still have the issue of murder in our own backyard. It's another area that we most definitely must lead in because murder is impacted by fatherlessness. The other area I believe that we have to lead in is not putting ourselves and stating this fact. We say this, and I think it's true. We have to be twice as good as we say. To me, you should want to be twice as good in order for us to establish the type of legacy that we need to establish for us to erode the perception that we are average. So in that case, it's time we take the lead on diversity. We've always been open to it. We've always welcomed people to the struggle of all cultures. We have been blind to the economic part of that. And it's time we take the lead on all of that. And what I mean by that is no need of you being apologetic, and don't just settle for being average, because the system, if you just settling to be part of something, it gives them the room to remove you as well. So for me, that's what I've chosen to do. That's what I'm doing. And being unapologetic about it across the board. I'm Black, I'm great, I lead, I do, I live.
And just to give you a slight introduction, that was Mr. Calvin Mann. He has Good Fathers Only organization here in Detroit, and also a organization that's really focuses on the young men of color. Encourage Me, I'm Young. He's a very influential fatherhood facilitator and advocate here in the community, and he also has a current push in regards to advocating youth who in regards to suicide, and how the suicide rate has increased in regards to our young males here in Michigan, whereas, and also as nationwide.
Thank you, brother.
Do anybody want to piggyback off what Mr. Calvin was speaking? He did raise some interesting points, you know what I'm saying? I think I heard about, you know what I'm saying, creating our own, economical platform, dealing with the internal, you know what I'm saying, crime within our own community, you know what I'm saying, addressing it at, you know what I'm saying? Because I think, we nullify our movement, you know what I'm saying? We talking about, you know what I'm saying, social justice on a national platform, yet we ignore what's going on in our community. We nullify our, you know what I'm saying? We nullify the bigger picture. We nullify that movement. You know what I'm saying? Because it seems like we tolerate, you know what I'm saying, what's going on in our own community. So we'll march, you know what I'm saying? If police shoot one of us, well, you know what I'm saying, this black on black crime in our own community, you know what I'm saying, we silent to it. What's our position on that? As black men?
You know, I'll come in regards to that because it's funny. Growing up, I grew up here in Detroit. One of the toughest communities was like the Jeffrey Projects, you know, and growing up. And for me to experience things, we had back then, it was the Big Four, which were police officers that basically just went around and they were freely allowed to do whatever they wanted to do. You know, come, they can chastise you, question you. There was no questions asked. Um, and but from going from there, we had always looked towards uh, certain individuals to be the face in regards to speaking up for the things that we were experiencing on an everyday level. Um, Sadly, you know, we've come to a point where even though we've gone through this for years, you know, now we have the ability through technology to capture moments right then and there to where it's like, okay, over these hundreds of years, this certain culture, this community has been out there saying, hey, this is what is happening to us. You know, this is what's going on. This is how it has affected our ability as a man trying to raise a family, you know, trying to educate our children uh, in different ways compared to other communities. You know, a lot of us probably utilize in regards to teaching our kids how to drive. We got to give the additional rules in regards to where to place your hands and when to stop, how to answer questions when you are basically being questioned by law enforcement, how not to be aggressive when you talk, you know, which for us, we're trying to teach our kids to be assertive when you talk, you know, but having that fear, having the fear in regards to when your child walks out the door, when you see them again, when you be getting a phone call saying, hey, either the child has been arrested or your child is down at the hospital, you know, we've come to a platform now where it's like, okay, we have these young groups, which I really appreciate, and that are out there marching, you know, and doing it in a way in regards to not looking for a central leader. It's like, let us lead, let me tell you what's going on, and doing it in a way where they're being understood. Now, on the back half of that, we've had other groups come in to try to piggyback off what we're trying to do. It's like we have some groups that think it's a game in regards to our livelihood. You know, our everyday way of living is like we just trying to survive. But as Calvin Man touched on, why is it that we, as people of color, have to look at our son when they are first born, and instead of giving them that positive support to say, you know what, it's always going to be a battle, but I got your back, I got your support. Instead, we put our own kids behind the 8 ball by the first thing we tell them is going to be twice as hard. You got to be 2 or 3 times better. We're already giving them in regards to, dude, you just might not make it. I'm letting you know, if it's me and I was giving that speech, I'm already walking into the classroom saying, I don't need to be here, because as soon as anything in regards to my grades or attitudes or whatever starts to drop, I become just another statistic for a black male that's not going to make it. And I'm looking at the person next to me, who's probably white, and saying, you know what? It doesn't matter what I do. You can do average, and you're going to get pushed through. I'm going to be looked at as a failure. So it's hard, and we've tried to let a country know just how difficult it is in regards to, for us to be respected as everyday individual, as a citizen per se, for us to be respected because we're men of color and we deserve every single right as everyone else.
So, if I may, something that I helped start here. I'm in Chicago. I'm in Bronzeville, and we have every night a community patrol. of Black men that go out and we patrol the neighborhood. We don't get involved with everything because we don't necessarily have the resources to do such, but that which that we can intervene in or we can deter, we do. It's a matter of, one, when it comes to us as and our people, especially being a Black man, it's a matter of identity. It's something that we've struggled for a very long time, to be to have a certain level of identity, to be seen with a certain level of respect. Our manhood has been the opposing forces have tried to strip us away from our manhood and our identity for years. And so the thing that I believe in, that I was raised with, that was given to me, was extreme ownership. So you can't tell me I cannot protect my own neighborhood. So going back to that whole piece of the community piece, you can't tell me I can't protect my own people. No one can tell me that I can't protect you unless you tell me, hey, twin, don't protect me. But as your brother, I stand in a certain light where I take it upon myself, a certain level of responsibility and accountability to look out for you and your family just as well as I look out for me and mine. That's where the village comes in. That's how community is. That's what we should be built upon. Ultimately, everything that I hear that all the brothers have talked about today and that I continuously hear about, especially from us as men, is ultimately it's about security. How do we take back that which is ours, and how do we maintain it, and how do we control it, and how do we set the narrative? And that is ultimately the conversation that I'm hearing, which goes back, of course, to the whole piece of identity. Who are we? What are we? And what are we looking to do? And then how do we do it? And so, and for me, I believe in that's just a matter of just, and I know this is easier said than done, than just stepping up. I found a group of Black men, it's a small group of men, but we go out every night. And it was a struggle to find these men. It was a struggle to find men that would be committed taking outside of their value system of a dollar, because it seems like the way society has created us is that all we look forward to and aspire to is a check. To take away from that and to see the value of us is us, and it's not necessarily the dollar. So to say we're gonna go out every night and patrol our neighborhood like we're security without having to get a check for it speaks values, that I'm willing to put my safety at risk to make sure this elder gets home safe, to make sure that this sister gets home safe, to make sure that we can either be a deterrent or prevent some drama from happening on our block or our neighborhood before it enters our front door. No one can tell me that, that tells me something about where we are. So, and forgive me if I'm all over the place. My son and my daughter got me, my mind is in two different places. But I'm just gonna leave off with this. Remember this, Neely Fuller said it best. Neely Fuller said, until you understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, anything you think you will know will only confuse you. So we have to start to come to a grips of accepting or finding what we identify with, and understanding that it's going to be small. This isn't an overnight thing. This may take 1,000 years. The movement is still going. The movement of Garvey, Malcolm, the movement of Elijah, the movement of whomever our ancestors were is still going. We are that movement. This conversation right now is that movement. It is still going. It is still within us, just us being on this Zoom. So with that being said, we got to understand 100 years from now, it's still going to be that conversation. Now, some people are saying it shouldn't be that way 100 years from now. No, it has to be that way 100 years from now. So we don't forget and fall back into the loop. It may be it's the conversation is going to keep going. It just may be a little different. It's just going to be on how to maintain the infrastructure in which that we have built and helped to provide, and the information that we provide, the structure that we provide, the foundation that we're laying for our children's children. But we have to start off, I think, with a level of identity, and also accepting the reality that not all of us are going to be for us and with us. It's a hard reality to accept, but it is. It's the truth that if you get in our way, as a Black man that's trying to look out for my brothers, for these brothers that's on the Zoom, I was invited. If I know that we have a particular understanding and we have a particular ideology and we're moving forward to the future, that's what I stand on. And for anyone to interfere with that and try to tear that down, whether they my skin folk, that don't mean they my kin folk or whomever, then hey, we know where to go with that. And that's just a different conversation, of course. But we know where that goes. But the fact of the matter is that we have to stand on those principles of security alone. Remember, the first law of nature is self-preservation. And what we're talking about right now, ultimately, is how do we protect that? How do we preserve or that and protect that which is us right now? And how do we get back to that? So that's my piece, family. I hope I made sense. I'm sorry.
You made a lot of sense. You made a lot of sense. You touched down on some major points. You know what I'm saying? And one takeaway is that, you know what I'm saying, we each individual got to, you know, take upon that mantle and, you know what I'm saying, take initiative to do what he want to see in his community, in his household. You know what I'm saying? He got to manifest that through his own action, deeds, and thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Just by taking initiative. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, group of brothers, y'all just got together without compensation. You know what I'm saying? You seen a need, something that need to be done. You know, John.
Yes, sir. And you know what? That's one of the issues that really I've seen on a higher level in regards to a lot of organizations and some individuals working in silos. You know, either you're utilizing what we're trying to stand for, what we're speaking about, what we're fighting for your own personal agenda, instead of looking at what it does for the whole. You know, coming together, just like you said right now, you know, right now, what we've done is increase our power, increased our conversation, increased our ability to reach out to individuals we may have never met before today. You know, and to say, you know, just like the young man was saying, this is a fight that really we might not see it to the end, but if we can take that seed that's been given and implant it into those who we are raising, per se, whether biologically they're ours or not, to be able to have those conversations, that dialogue, to just invoke just a little bit of thought in regards to those that can take it to the next step, to the next level. You know, that's all we can do. Like I said, you know, it's not going to be done overnight. We knew what it took for us to get here as it is now. We've seen the different barriers and the walls we had to climb over in regards to just getting other people to listen and see what we've been discussing. You know, I think I saw somebody's hand going up. Was it Mr. Grundy? I don't want to call you out just in case if it wasn't. Well, Mr. Evans, I see your hand up.
Man, awesome. I'm sitting here listening and taking it all in, and so much was said, and wow, right? So, and again, I'm so honored to be here amongst brothers discussing such a significant, very important topic. This all started off with our brother, man, Ken, demonstrating about the election. I want to try to real quick here. So as I'm thinking about the election and I'm thinking about everyone, everything that was said, whether it was on social media or in the highways and the byways, I remember the stress level of both men and women for that matter, you know, and the stress level of having to choose a lesser two evil, as it was said, and everything. And even after the vote, I watch how brothers who had this agony kind of this anxiety of not even being comfortable with the vote that they had given. You know what I mean? And I think about how we looked in front of our children, and we have to remember when we was kids, we tend to notice more than our parents give us credit for. You know, and seeing our parents go through this, the stress over this. Me as a child, I had this thing where it was I was very aware of my mother's so-called white girl voice that she used to put on when she discussed business with the people that looked up Caucasian persuasion. And I was very aware that she had the voice for us, but then she had the voice for them. You know what I mean? And I take it and I think about our children looking at us in that same manner, stressing over which one, or whether it been a Donald Trump or Joe Biden, that we was going to vote for to do the job that we as men probably chastise our boys about doing when they grow up. You know what I mean? And you know, it all ties into this. As the brother, as both the good brothers cover, this is much deeper than we have been willing to go. I really, me personally, I believe it's more on a soulful and a spiritual level, because you know, me growing up in the '90s in my teenage years, I watched as this became cultural. I watched as the people that grew up with me began to name their children Baby G or Baby Stone or Ty, Little Lord, and put earrings in their ears, and you know, put them in silver tie Levi suits, and they took them out the corrective bottom shoes and put them in Jordans and Air Max, and now they walk pigeon toes and things of this nature, right? I watched this. I watched it as they had the babies, even in their baby cribs, as we drove and played this music crazy loud, knowing that this has become cultural. It has become so implanted to now we actually need the fathers now, true fathers, must be, as interesting as the brother brought up, seed and planting, must be a divine surgeon. He must be a divine surgeon in the signs that the brother Ken said. Man, one of us got to be there while this child is going to school. We got to jealously guard our child mind and make sure we know what's going in that child's mind, because this is the child or children that is our future, right? And so as fathers, as men, you know, even from a spiritual point of, if you recognize a God of your consciousness and recognize this God is planting this seed and we're planting the seed, and then nature, you know, I think of a father and the sign of a farmer or agriculturally interested even, you know what I mean? One that tends his garden and makes sure that no snakes or serpents get in there, the wrong things versus the right things, basically, right? And so, you know, as I'm listening and everything, man, as a father, I believe the first instinct as a father is to be a protector. And that's where that security coming in at. And this is where we are at right now. We are vulnerable people. For the most part, we don't know that, we don't even know that what this occupation father means. I looked up the definition of father in the Oxford Dictionary, and it literally says a man a man in relation to his children, a priest, or someone who believes that by donating his sperm, he has done his duty. That's what they give you as a definition of a father. So I say, if that, okay, between that and me growing up and our women mothers telling our daughters, hey, when you grow up, get you a doctor or a lawyer, not a father, not a husbandman, get you a doctor or a lawyer, and not even with the instructions to get the doctor or lawyer because they're principle, moral, or standard. Get you a doctor and lawyer with the implication that they will secure you, at least financially. And so, I mean, that's my piece for
I like how you said it, right? Because that brother brings us to a tremendous point, right? Because what we have done is we've sold out the greatness of fatherhood for that ideology, and that ideology falls upon our children. And when I say that, I'm not just blaming them. I'm saying we all have,
Yes.
right? Because if we really evaluate our power as fathers, right, named after the Most High, no matter what religion you want to discuss it in, right? Father puts you in a certain reverence. Where we're coming from as fathers is we're coming from a perspective, as you were just speaking on, right? In preparing our kids, our boys, particularly, right? To just exist in the system. So part of what we are doing is we are teaching the struggle from a standard and a struggle standpoint. Whereas we all want our children to be better than us, teaching them to dominate the system is answering the requirement that the system wants. If we have to be twice as better, instead of teaching it from a struggle standpoint, let's teach it from the standpoint that we are twice as better, right? Let's hold ourselves to a standard in front of them. We use the term okay. Another point you made that I found years ago, I worked in an all-white daycare, right? Been around white people, went to high school, the whole nine. Do you know white people talk differently to their children when they're at home too, just like we do? Yeah, when they're in public, they talk this way, but when they're kids at home, they talk differently, just like we do. They take off the persona just like we do. We refer to talking as white instead of providing the articulation for the system to move and work for us, right? Some people call it role playing, right? But when you walk into a room, and this is what makes us great as men, especially being fathers, when you walk into a room, this is where your leadership is important. You should be prepared to lead the conversation when you enter a room, period. If you're coming to discuss fatherhood from a standpoint, discuss fatherhood from a leadership standpoint and incorporate the other statistics that come along with your leadership. So it's not just me discussing Black fathers. When I walk in the room, I'm discussing all fathers. I know what's going on with white fathers. I know what's going on with Hispanic fathers. I know what's going on with Arab fathers. I know what's going on with every cultural father in the system. So we're taking the lead. For me, it's no longer about me. I am the struggle. You see what I'm saying? I am the Marcus Garvey. I am the guys that we spoke about, right? But it's me, Calvin Mann. I'm here. I have all that. So let me add to what we're doing to move our boys. And as you see, it's working because if you look at sports, both basketball, football, and baseball, there are more fathers at these tables. The issue that we have to fix is the issue that hurt us, which is womanizing. You have to pay for that. If we can move away from the pimp player concept, womanizing, and turn and replace that with father, son, family, growth, legacy, right? And push that back, we can determine the change that is actually happening as we speak. So it's on us to grow that, to move that needle, right? I'm not waiting on nobody to come in and save me. I'm not waiting on that. I'm not sitting back asking nobody to save me. John will tell you that. It's put this work in their face, everybody. And don't be apologetic about it whatsoever. You are a father. God labeled you the most incredible. Biblically, he states, turning the hearts of the children to the father and turning the hearts of the father to the children. That's the last verse of the Old Testament. You are that power. And let no one, no system, no mother, nobody take that away from you. You are the answer to fixing what is wrong culturally with our people and our children.
Mr. Evans, you raised your hand.
Yes, man. So wow, that was awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm just sitting here. As the brother just demonstrated that awesome measure about the fathers and our children and how we relate. I was sitting here looking over my notes and you know, father, it takes on the energy of a husband, right? And as I was looking at this husband or what originally was husband man, again, it brought me into the energy of an agricultural or a farmer and one who tends his garden all the time, daily and nightly. You know what I mean? And it invokes the thought of a grandmother, even in her yard, tending her garden, always speaking to it and, you know, on her knees there and singing to it as we used to see some of us who's old enough to remember that. But as the brother said, every time he walks into a room or we would walk into a room and there are other fathers, we should have this energy of leading, this presence of leading, because not only is he interested in other fathers, he probably already knows what other fathers are engaged in, are doing within the community of fatherhood. I thought that was very interesting because again, in the energy of an agriculture or a husbandman and fatherhood, then we have the father or the husbandman being interested in the economy of things, the economy of the community that's around him and that surrounds him and his family. And in being interested in the economy of things as it relates, he will be interested in other fathers and their trades, their import, exports, their production, or whatever it may be, you know, and how that even will affect him and his children in their community, you know. And so in this case, I believe, see again, we need to really get down with our youth on what it is to be a father and what that really, that true meaning is and how to demonstrate that in life. Because when we look at it in that case of being a farmer or created in the image and likeness of the God of your consciousness, then it's a whole nother perspective. I believe it will cause a paradigm shift. That's my opinion.
You got it?
So yeah, I had a question. And I appreciate that. I appreciate both of y'all. Y'all have said some very key important things. So my follow-up question was this here. I was just thinking because Brother Leland, you and Brother Cam, y'all mentioned you mentioned one thing, Leland, about the cultural, you know what I'm saying, warfare. Then Kevin, you mentioned how to counteract that by taking on that manner of, you know what I'm saying, speaking from authority. So my question was this: how do we address the cultural warfare that has changed the role of fathers by negative categorization of generations that young fathers have now adopted? You know what I'm saying? We right now, 50 years of the Manheim Report. If I don't know, some of y'all might be old enough to remember the Manheim Report that came out in the 1950s. You know what I'm saying? Supposed to address it, you know what I'm saying, the role of fathers in the Black community, in Black households. You know what I'm saying? So it's supposed to give out certain solutions or whatever, you know what I'm saying, which Congress is supposed to adopt certain measures that how to address, you know what I'm saying? But the way they addressed it was to create a system that systematically changed fathers' role in households. It continued to create that divide. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, again, go back to my question. How do we as advocates in our community, you know, address, you know what I'm saying, younger brothers to get them to, you know, what the see, you know what I'm saying, you know, like I said, we speaking on a different level, you know what I'm saying? So I know I have challenges speaking to some of the young brothers that I speak with, you know what I'm saying? So it's not, you know, I try to address them from where they at. So, you know what I'm saying, I got to address them, you know what I'm saying, using the language that they understand.
Right.
Okay,
So,
Cal,
Yeah,
hold
John.
one moment. I want you to hold that thought. We did have one brother that had a comment from the previous conversation, and then we're going to get back to that. So formulate what you're going to say and bring it. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say that the one thing that I try to keep in mind for myself is that freedom does not come without having discipline. And so that when I say that when Brother Calvin was speaking, it just made me think of like, man, the road that we're on, it when speaking, it sounds is so on point. And but the questions of the how, like Brother Cross just said, that's the difficult piece, and the discipline that I have to maintain in order to come up with those answers, and not get discouraged because I can't find those answers at the very moment does not mean that there's not an answer, but to stay on the path and that an answer will come and I have faith in that. And so it just just wanted to salute Brother Calvin for his words because it just made me think of that. And then Brother Cross came with another strong question that made me be like, man, so and this is the type of conversation that I personally believe needs to be happening weekly because man, it's not a lot of these conversations I don't come across that often. So I just wanted to go ahead and say I really appreciate that, and I appreciate y'all words, man.
Well, to answer it, and I appreciate it, you to answer it, right? So I tell you what I did, right? And part of what has happened is that for me, it's different. For me, it's been spiritual, it's purpose filled, the whole nine. When you was just talking about the Moynihan report, it runs so deep on the policy side, which John and I are at the table on policy side. We have to counter policy in a number of areas, right? And we have to get out of the lane of mamaism. We all been conditioned to believe, been taught. Trauma teaches us to depend on who is present. So if it was mama or if it was daddy, that's who we depended on to get through, right? So I explain it this way, and here's what we can do. We're already doing it right now. What we have to do is keep building the conversation, keep sharing the solutions. I would love to have you guys on. We did a Mail Monday on our podcast, right? Keep sharing the information intimately. We don't always have to tell the system what we're up to. We can speak just like they speak. As I said earlier, they refer to us as gangs, refer to theirs as groups, right? Right now, we're in a group setting. All the information that we each other have, we should be sharing that, right? Because we have to solve what is bothering our village. So we're the chiefs. We're sharing that information. When you look at the Moynihan report, they did exactly that because in 1964, they countered with the Food Stamp Act, which increased poverty, right? The black household was less than 20, single household rate was less than 20% at that particular point. I believe it was 18%. We come behind that, 1965, the Juvenile Act, which exposed our kids, right? Because they knew at a certain point that this poverty was going to produce as much as possible. So 69, Ronald Reagan opened up the country from California, the No Fault Divorce Act. When you get hit with the No Fault Divorce Act, all the other governors across the country begin to follow suit with the No Fault Divorce Act, right? Come out of that, Vietnam. Remember, we praised the brother for getting on a donkey to go get dope. We participated in that. So the brother went and got on a donkey, went to Vietnam, brought dope back to our community, our children, our mothers, fathers, right? For poverty. Didn't want to live that way. We transcend 1975, the National Organization for Women makes an announcement that they are going to be the only ones recognized as the parent for the children. Today, we have marketed fatherhood, right? Hustled fatherhood, right? Destroyed the value of fatherhood just from what you was talking about, brother, from the Moynihan report, and you bring it all the way in. And when you saw the 80s, right, in hip hop, you see what I'm saying? Everyone's complicit, right? When you see the churches, right? You can go sit in the church. We're not talking about fatherhood. Everyone's complicit, right? About my daddy, my mama don't know the story. Well, he just not coming around. Don't know, he didn't have no way of coming around. And even if he did, imagine the guilt he felt knowing that he couldn't provide a certain amount of resource too. So everyone has been complicit. What we have to do is say no more. We have to say no more. That's where we are. We're no longer accepting being mediocre. It takes 12 mentors to equal one father. We are the coldest. God made sure that fatherhood was that important. If you look at all these other countries, these other cultures, the whole nine, it's constant respect. See? So what we have to do is just move. We don't have to explain it to nobody. We just got to move. We taking lead on all fatherhood, right? Yeah, I know what Johnny's going through. Yep. And have the information to help Johnny. Why? Because that's going to move on that racism too, right? I know what Valdez is going through. Yep. Move on that because that's going to move. That's who we are. We are the answer. So to me, that's what we have to do. That's just where I've been. That's what we do. That's what I'm constantly saying, even to my mentees. My mentees, one of my big boys, when they asked him, he said, what is it that you do that makes you such a leader? We are taught to take leadership. He's on his way to University of Michigan. I want 10 cities, 10 chapters, right? All we have to do is teach. I don't have to teach the struggle. I can teach domination. I can teach leadership. I don't have to teach you the struggle. It don't take much for you to see the struggle. I can teach you domination. And that's what we have to teach. We no longer have to teach the struggle. It's already in your DNA. We have to change the DNA through words, deeds, and actions. When they match up, that moves the pendulum. That's my answer.
Zach, step in, bro. I obviously am in total agreement with every brother, man. And this obviously works because, you know, all of us already come with our soul sort of soft. You know, we're not dealing with no dirt. We're not dealing with rock and dirt right now. You know, and that's what we will have to deal with when we're dealing with our youth right now. You know, we're not dealing with something. We have to be tillers of that soil, right? Tillers and toilers of that soil, right? And having said that, you know, again, this is all mental for me. It's all in the mind for me. It's all spiritual, and the signs of spiritual wickedness in high places. So having said that, we cannot approach this as we have been approaching this, thinking that it's going to be this one answer that's going to just knock it out the park. I believe that we have to have a circle B, all of the above approach to this is what we have been missing. The wisdom is in understanding when to do A, when to do B. It's not that A, B, or C is wrong and this one is right. All of them are correct. The wisdom is in understanding when to inject them and who to inject them, I guess, into, for lack of a better word or more expression right now. In that case, what I'm saying is this: when we were in the streets, you know, we didn't go out there everybody that we thought, we didn't just say, hey man, we want to pick anyone to do our wrong with. When we was into doing crime and being criminals, I guess, you know, we didn't just choose anyone. We were prejudiced and biased about who we chose and who we was going to do whatever with and who we was going to call our buddy. You know, and we have to be, we can't romanticize this. We romanticize it too much in the case that we think it's about saving everybody. and everybody just don't want to be saved. You know what I mean? And that's just real talk. Everyone, you know, they want this so-called success. They want the muscles, but they don't want to do the exercise. And I'm not going, and we cannot waste any more time trying to figure that out. You know, I think, like the brother man said, we have to come out of attitude of, you know, listen, we're going to go ahead and do what needs to be done because it is the right thing that must be done. And we're going to ignore anything and anyone that's not on that agenda, but don't get in our way either. You know what I mean? It's one of those kind of deals. That's the situation that we got in right now. Trauma. And when the brother said trauma and mama together, I thought, man, you know what? That's what happens. When there's trauma, we call on mama. You know, the Menahem report, I've never read it before, but I am of the wisdom that, you know, the government obviously broke up the so-called black family in the 1970s, as I see it. And I see brothers who didn't go to church all the way up into this present day. You had the women in church versus the men. They weren't going to give their money to them if it was up to them, and none of that, right? But I look at the brothers in the family, or the so-called black families in the 50s and 60s, the Garvey movement, the Moore Science Temple movements, of the Nation of Islam movements, and the brothers will make sure that those movements, those revolutions will get some of that money, you know what I'm saying, off of their blood, sweat, and tears. You know, it wasn't just going to the family. I'm going to make sure God and them going to be straight too, versus throwing that money to the church. You know, so, you know, we get to the point of after Martin Luther King and the brother man is ejected out of the house and WIC is taken over, or the government is taken over. And now we have the brother man trying to find pride in the streets and the drugs and everything else. It's all systematic. So having said that, as the good brother said, you know, we have to go about this and not try to play into an already burning house. You know, we can't, whether it's true or not, it just never made sense to me when Harry Belafonte, our honorable brother, demonstrated about Martin Luther King being worried that he integrated us into a burning house, and the answer to that being, we must become firemen and put it out. It just never sat well. Now, whether that's true or not, that's another conversation. I'm just saying this, in this case, that if it's an already burning house, I'm not trying to no longer integrate in it. I'm not no longer trying to work with a system that's not just, has not worked with us. It's been proven over and over again. Having said that, we must go full steam ahead. Like you just said, as men, we have gotten together, and this is what we must continue to do. And anyone that gets in the way of that, we as men, as fathers, as protectors, we will address it accordingly.
If I may, I wanted to say that, going back to something Brother Calvin said regarding policy, absolutely agree with that. Being here in Chicago, I've had the opportunity to get involved politically and be in some political circles. I even worked on this last mayoral campaign, and I can tell you right now, man, like there is a level of ignorance when it comes to how we don't realize how much policy actually was set in place where we were systematically dismantled, and it was all done by pen and paper. And so this is, and going with Brother Evan said, I agree. It's not just one thing. It literally is a myriad of things. So, and finding your spot. Hey, it takes many ingredients to bake a cake. So we got to find out which one of us is the eggs, which one's of us going to be the sugar, which one's going to be the flour and the bowl and the stove. And we got to figure out, you know what I'm saying, that they get the cooking. And so, so educating our people in politics and knowing what that is, and for those of us that are educated in that field, making those moves in that direction to also change and curtail some of the things that's going on now as well as in other avenues. Saturday, I had the privilege of going to police headquarters and presenting. They have a program there where they talk to young men and women who have stolen cars. And instead of them going to court and getting a felony and getting locked up, what they do is they go through almost like a community service type of program where they come there. They go to the police headquarters, I think either once or twice a month, and they go through these classes. And one thing that I noticed is they weren't trying to listen to any of them. They had and excuse the phrase for my elders, please forgive me, but they had the F12 attitude. Like, man, we ain't trying to hear you. But when I came in and I'm able to relate to them, literally the young brothers who had their heads cocked to the side with their eyes closed, literally rose their hands up. And I had to thank them, like, I appreciate you for waking up. We have something that they can't give, but there are spaces where we can reach them. And so I volunteer. There's a couple of schools here. There's a network called YCCS. They have alternative high schools, Chatham Academy, CYDI, and so on and so forth here. And what I do is I volunteer. Now, recently I've been asked to teach martial arts program network-wide, which in some ways gives me the opportunity also to, spread this message to my young men, because most of my classes now are mostly men. Surprisingly so, the last couple of years it's been mostly young ladies. But I was fortunate to get a nice group of young men now. And it dawned on me that we can go to these places and possibly create some programs ourselves where we can go ahead and start inserting ourselves. And like brother said, I'm unapologetic with it. I'll find, man, I'm coming in. I'm gonna talk to my boys. And so and giving him that information, as well as coming back possibly once a month and having meetings like this where we can all come back and say, okay, I took on 5 mentees, and we all talk about the mentees or what it is that we are doing and how we can all benefit one another. That's something that we can also do, because I know for me personally, it's hard for me to do some of the things I do, and I call around, especially to my elders. Man, I do my best to call and speak to my elders, because I know that they give me a good sense of direction. I try to close that gap that has been, I believe, purposely created to prevent me from being on the right path. And they help me to find either the right words or the right methodology in order to reach some of these shorties that we have out here, man. And so those are just different ways that I've done it. And I'm open too from any of you good brothers. If you have any other ways, or if you know anywhere that I could go, and I can tell y'all right now, there's a couple schools that I can point some of y'all to if y'all in Chicago. I don't know about Detroit. I'm not from the D, but there are a couple places as far as in the city that I do know that they hungry for us. They really are. They hungry for this, and they hungry also to come from those who can speak that language, and what I'm hearing from this group of brothers are brothers that speak that language and know exactly, from not just a historical perspective, but just off of the experience alone, on how to relate to these young brothers. And I think that's a key, and coming up with a solid plan. And I'm down for whatever y'all want. I'm down for whatever. If y'all want me to, if I'm able to come and meet y'all again, y'all can help me create a solid plan to, should I start here? I'm always willing to change whatever. Because I'm gonna be real with you, brothers. I've found young brothers under my porch last summer. They trying to steal cars. And my daughter came down once, my wife came down once, and I had to talk to these young brothers like, man, and they just out here, they struggling. And each time I've talked to one of these young brothers, the thing that they said most was, don't nobody care, ain't no opportunities, ain't nothing. And each time I've talked to them, and I've had to remind myself, I'm a Star Wars fan, there's a line in there that says, you're gonna pay for your lack of vision. And then I try to give them those jewels in which that was provided to me from my elder. Man, Chuck, he on here. Chuck helped raise me. Stephen Alexander, he helped raise me. Yeah, I said I'm used to calling him Chucks, y'all, but he did.
I could have been out here on some knucklehead stuff. But through his experience and being an older brother to me, he helped raise me and put me in. Now I'm in a position where I'm able to get that back. And what I'm saying is that I am here to listen to any one of you brothers that can give me that guidance to go out here and to continue on doing that. Because this ain't about money. This is about survival. This is literally about the wealth is in us. This ain't about none of this is about us. So, that's how I see it. I just see it a certain way. So, yeah. So, any of you brothers got any suggestions for what in any orders, I take them.
And I appreciate you for creating the perfect segue for the last 30 minutes, which is where do we go from here? We've been we've been separated from whether it's our own personal beliefs, whether it's individuals or movements that we deeply believed in. Society has created enough negative reaction pointing to little bitty things to sit back and just say, you know what, I knew that person wasn't perfect anyway. And I think that's probably our problem. We're looking for that perfect person, that perfect organization, that perfect spiritual belief, that perfect church, whatever the case may be, and say, I believe in this. We all have our faults, So who do we bring to the table? We're here currently, but who do we bring to the table?
I want to add something. My background is we don't really have to get into it, but it is to where I feel that our young guys, I don't see anybody in here under 30. So that's our problem, is because these young guys don't even consider themselves men until you either disrespect them or they want to go get some liquor or anything that's a negative type of vibe. They don't want to consider, like, see, this is a forum, and I put it on my Facebook page. So for the younger guys who don't even, like I said, want to consider themselves men for knowledge or men to better themselves, it's always like, oh, I'm not a man, or, what I'm saying? They want to put their chest out when you come at them wrong, as opposed to in a positive way. Yeah, I consider you as a man still, not just in being negative or just because you're 18. Once you become 18, you are a man. Legally at 21, but at 18, you are a man. So don't just think that you're a man just for negative things, but because, like I say, I wish it was more of the younger people, because that's how we get more entwined, and that's how we get things to move and change. Because we all have our knowledge and our past history. And I really think Quinn is the youngest one out of all of us. And it was a group of us that he was really the youngest out of all of us still, but we had different things coming from different areas that he picked up on, and still to this day he'll call me for advice or anything, and so that's just how we have to have from our elders who are willing to give the knowledge to show these young guys that positive being a man is a good thing too. You don't have to just be, oh, I'm a man, so you can't talk to my child like that, so that's where I think we should start. Well, it's an area we can, and that's just trying to get in tune and in touch with our younger guys, because we all we've been there. You know what I'm saying? Like that statement that I used to always question my mama. I already know what you think. Whatever you think about doing, I already done did it. Like, what I'm saying? Okay, what I'm thinking that. So we done been there. So, and that's the way we got to share it. But we're going to find a way. We're going to find a way.
I totally agree with you on that, 100%. I found my son, me and my son having those same conversations. It's like, I know where you've been, and the conversation that they have today is like, oh, the time is different. It's like, what makes it different is really you have a better path in regards to reaching knowledge, accessing it, and utilizing it due to the technology that you have. But you're not utilizing it. if you are, you utilize it to your advantage in regards to, hey, for everything I can bring up, you can bring me 50 points to support what you're trying to say, and I can bring another 50, and we still at a stalemate. You know, like I said, bringing those younger individuals to the table, that's what is needed. Well, that's what is really needed. And from what I've heard from them, they just want to be heard. We provide the table, we provide the plates. Dude, the food is here. Come sit and enjoy and partake. And please, in regards to, you know, give us your thoughts. Because when I can say here in Detroit, I have an auntie who's like 99. And when it came down to participating in the walks, she honestly said, baby, I done been there. Okay. I support you from here, but now it's your turn to go out there. It's your turn.
That's you know, you just put up a challenge. You just made a challenge. You know, so I know, you know, we anticipating doing this again. You know what I'm saying? So that's the big challenge for it's 9 to 10 of us on this Zoom to bring in one young person for the next Zoom. You know what I'm saying? You know.
I accept that challenge.
Right.
I accept
You
that
know,
challenge.
that's what's up. You know what I'm saying? That's what's up. You know what I'm saying? Then they
I
can hear
accept
from
that challenge also.
I do too.
you know what I'm saying? So that's one takeaway that we're gonna take away from this and bringing in another young person. So you know, we're in the last few minutes we got a good, you know what I'm saying, 20 minutes left or so. And John, any closing discussions?
Well, if anybody else really has a point that they want to make, we do have Mr. Evans. Go ahead.
I want to chime in once more. You know, I think that what's very significant here is that we don't forget what we learned when we was growing up and when we were out there and we had lost our right state of mind, so to speak. You know, that we went through that experience for a reason. You know what I mean? And today we could say that it's a degree, it's a notch under our belt. But you know, I used to tell guys all the time, you know, don't forget what you learned out there. If you used to break into apartments, so to speak, then bring that talent with you. I challenge you now to learn how to break into minds, into hearts. And instead of taking something out, I need you to put some good stuff back in there. That's a talent that you learn. I just want to show you how to put a different energy on it and utilize it for a better reason, right? And so, having said that, what I'm getting to is this. Sometimes, and in this case, it's not about bringing them to us. And you could not get me in no church. You couldn't get me in no mosque. You couldn't get me in no recreational center unless you was telling me it was a party and some big butts was going to be there or something like that. But I'm not going. You understand? And now, and that was sort of the agreement. I don't go to the church, and the church don't come into the streets. You understand? So and because guess what? That was the problem. You know, we could always smell when somebody was on some was a phony on some crap versus a cat out here talking. What's the difference between, you know, this man and this woman telling me to stay out their house and stay from around their house versus Mr. Hutchinson next door who didn't want us on his grass and in the most disrespectful gang banging, whatever you can call, will honor his word versus the ones who did and dab and get on their level as they friends and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Or yell at them from versus coming to them. This is our situation and circumstance. As fathers today, we have to be doctors without borders. I don't use that term loosely. We first are doctors. We have to be doctors without borders, and we got to get up close and personal with our children, you understand, and let them see we authentic, we genuine. And I'm willing to put, this is the case, this is the times we are in. I'm willing to put my life on the line to save yours, bro, or sis. Because right now, I just left the streets. I was just homeless 2 years ago. You know what I mean? I've been healing since. So I was out there, and I never knew, no one could ever told me there's that many homeless little brothers and children out there sleeping in garages and cars and foreclosed houses and things of that nature. I would have never known there was that many little brothers and sisters on crack cocaine. I just did. You know what I'm saying? I was very naive to that fact. But when I was out there, I stopped I stopped a few things that could have happened, right? Not a lot of things, not everything, but I did stop something. But you know who I had the most problems out of? The so-called adults. It was not the children. They was listening. It was the so-called adults who was wondering, what you doing? Get on away from here. No, you shouldn't be here. Don't worry about them. Leave them alone. You know, just worry about the ones down there. And I'm like, they hear you. You know they hear you, right? We act like our children are germ or disease, or we help one child to the detriment of another child, and we think they don't know that or see it smell. They discussing it, bro. So today, we got to have an up close and personal approach. We can't be squirmish about it, because let me see you squirmish about touching my disease. Let me see you act squirmish about my sickness. And like you ain't been sick before. You know, and that's it. That's my piece right there, man. I'm just so glad to be here and let this continue. This is cultivating the soil right here, man. It all starts here. Peace.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Hey, I totally understand where you're coming from. Anybody else have any response to that, or had any last words that they want to say?
Yeah, I just want to say that brother, couple things. One, I heard somebody bring up the Nation of Islam and the UNIA, and it's funny because I'm right here by the Garvey Center, and I was raised in the Nation. I wasn't officially a member, but I was raised in the Nation. So and then listening to Chuck speak, I just wanted to say, man, those men, man, just taking myself back to childhood, it was always a group of men around me that made sure that I stayed on a particular track and a path, and it was the pros and the cons with it. It was a consequence to it too. Like, hey, you're not finna dishonor your family and embarrass your bloodline. You know, you're not finna throw your life away type of deal. So I just want to say that we definitely got to get back to that. But also going back to what Brother Evans said, I think it was Frederick Douglass that made the statement of what was it about fixing broken men? It's easier to raise children than to fix broken men or to repair broken men. So, you know, and in our case, adults that do, because you're right. Every time I've worked inside the community, it has never been pushed back from the youth. Never been pushed back from them. It has always been pushed back from people our age or older. You are absolutely right. But once again, like Calvin said, unapologetic. You can't make me move. I'm gonna be here to raise them and to give them exactly the nourishment they need. And I'm a die fighting for that if need be. And that's the way it's gonna go.
Amen. Amen. So appreciate you, brothers, man. It's funny when you guys said about having youth tonight on the podcast. It's all about the youth. So I got one of my mentees. I got another one. I got two of my mentees. I got a young man in Atlanta gonna be on, right? And it's for them to display their talents, right? And what's funny is boys, like men, no matter what the circumstances is, you have to share. If you're paying attention, if you say you have a problem, automatically you hear the women say, me too. You ever notice if you say, well, I got an issue with so-and-so and so-and-so, they say, me too. right? In that scenario, excuse me, that scenario means you don't necessarily have, the Me Tooism. You don't necessarily, you can't, you got to always have to explain yourself. You can put a post on Facebook and you can say this, and right away it gets infiltrated by women. So you can't have an issue where it's just your issue. You can't say, oh man, we need to be better. We can so and so and so and so. Right away, they right there. Why? Because just like the system, they don't want to circumvent what they think they have in charge. So they feel like they are ahead of you. We feel like we are behind them because of this dynamic. Like he just said, like I just want you guys to take with you. Lead, man. You can be mad at me all you want to. My wife always say to me, "You're a man's man." Me, I'm just saying that we got too many issues without men. If you can't appreciate with men, you need to shut the hell up. That's just my opinion. Uh, that's the way it is. But we have to take those steps. And I appreciate this as well. And we have to pour into each other. So I love you, John. I love you, my man, with the class, the brother that was speaking, Cross, Galaxy. I love you, fathers, because believe me, if you wasn't present right now, Mark Quinn, thank you. If you wasn't present right now, murder would be triple. Suicide would be triple. That's what our children are experiencing just because they don't have a you. So I'm telling you, when you get up, walk away, it's just like even our t-shirts, right? People, when the boy was shot in Wisconsin, shot in the back 6 times, found the hospital, I sent the whole package to him. Good fathers only, wristband, everything. The day he came out and spoke, first time he spoke, he had that Good Fathers Only wristband on Twitter and everything, right? This is what we have to do because we can't allow, even this is why we got to talk more to the community anyway, because we're killing fathers. You're taking away fathers. See, we didn't see the value. You're taking away fathers. Oh, 21-year-old shot and killed so-and-so. It turned out he's the father of 3. 27-year-old father, we turned out he's the father of 5. A 46-year-old at the grocery store, we turned out he a father of 6. Gardner, he was a father. One of the worst sounds I heard years ago was when a 15-year-old screamed out on TV, "I need my daddy," after he was killed. See what I'm saying? We have to fight our way. So that's what I want you to take away from this whole thing. Just really, and let's look out for each other, man, because that's really what it's all about.
Kevin said your podcast is tonight at 6 o'clock on Facebook.
Podcasting, yep.
How we find it?
Yep, you look up the fan page called Podcasting, right? And then you can look up my personal page, Calvin T. Man. You will see me in the window. Calvin Man on Facebook. It's around here, brother. I'm around here, brother, for y'all that can't see.
I'm sure. Is it Calvin T. Man or just Calvin Man?
My Facebook is Calvin Man.
Okay.
Cool. That's what's up. That's what's up. Just like the brother Quinn would say, man, you know what I'm saying? We all the ingredients, man. We represent all the ingredients, man. You know what I'm saying? Our struggle is so diverse. You know what I'm saying? The issues are so diverse, but you know what I'm saying? We all represent one side of those issues. You know what I'm saying? We have a solution to those issues, And like I said, you know what I'm saying, in order, this cake ain't gonna get baked as, what I'm saying, in 24 hours. This is a generational thing. And like Brother Quinn said, this discussion gonna be held, you know what I'm saying, 20, 25, 50 years from now. You know what I'm saying? Same, what I'm saying, table around settings, you know what I'm saying, might be different issues, you know what I'm saying, but we got to deal with our current issues in our current time, and it's diverse issues, but we represent the solutions, we represent the solution, man. Our challenge is to get other brothers to answer that call, taking on that initiative, do certain things within their own household, their community, because I look at things this in perspective. You know what I'm saying? Our households ain't nothing but a minute part of the whole. You know what I'm saying? That whole nucleus starts at the household, then that community, from that block, you know what I'm saying, to the larger community. You know what I'm saying? Change got to be affected from those little smaller, you know what I'm saying, minute settings. You know what I'm saying? We represent that change. That's from my perspective, man. And it's been a pleasure to listen to you, brothers, man. And I'm glad to meet you, Kevin, Quinn. I know the rest of you brothers, you know what I'm saying? But I'm glad to meet you too. You know what I'm saying? Y'all share some very important information. You know what I'm saying? And this is what this network do. It gives us the opportunity to see there's like-minded brothers out there with us. You know what I'm saying? We just got to start networking within our own circles, start networking, sharing, partnering, I would never know Quinn. I would never know Quinn if he down in Hyde Park doing that. I know the brother Leland, he out there, you know what I'm saying, he working game prevention. You know what I'm saying? Now I know the brother Calvin, what he do. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying, we got brothers, that we don't know that's out there putting in work. You know what I'm saying? Making a difference, making a change.
Yes, sir.
That's me.
Well, I want to say I'm truly humble in regards to this coming together. Me and Ken, we met a year and a half, 2 years ago, outside of our own personal environment, which is, you never know where your blessings is coming from until you get it. You may ask for a lot, but then something else comes your way, and then you look at it like, you know what? There's a purpose for this. I appreciate all you brothers who joined in today, whether it was for the whole entire session or for a moment. As you say, this is only a beginning. Me and Mr. Man, we go back quite a ways, but it took that initial meeting, that initial greeting, that event to bring us together, to start having this conversation, having these dialogues. And really it started in regards to looking at our young adults. And let me take that back. Our children who at 13, 14, 15 were already considered to be fathers before they considered to be a man.
Right.
And so we were looking at those issues, for quite some time. But it created the dialogue. Just like here, we've created this dialogue. And between myself and Mr. Ross, we're going to continue this. And we're going to do our best to expand it. If it's just us, I'm not going to look at it in regards to disappointment, because before there was just us, as you said, there was no justice. So, hey, whether we can take it a whole nother level or just making sure that we talk about what's out there and acknowledge it. We can't hold a blind eye to it no more, so we have to get it out. We have to talk about it. So once again, for this show, how to be better men, where do we go from here? How to be better fathers, how to improve our community, our families, our own personal well-being. We're going to continue this. I appreciate everybody today. Have a great weekend, even though I know it's Monday, but we know we're going to try to make this a short week, but have a great weekend, a great holiday, and we will be submitting the next flyer for the next time real soon. Mr. Ross, once again, he's representing Trinity Child Care Center. I myself, Wayne County Fatherhood Initiative, Mr. Ross from Chicago, and I'm from Detroit. Mr. Ross, any last words before we go?
And I look forward to seeing y'all again, man. Enjoy y'all holiday weekend. You know, we got a couple of days in this work week. You know, then you got, you know, a 4-day weekend. So enjoy, be safe. You know, keep your family safe. You know, and I'll see y'all the next time. You know.
All right.
So, go Seahawks.
Take care.
God bless.
Peace, brothers.
Nice
Nah,
meeting you, brother.
man.
All right.
Everybody take care. Bye, everybody.
All right. John, I'll be reaching out to you as soon as we put some, reach out to me, all right?
All right. I'll be taking and editing it, then I'm gonna upload it too.
All right,
Brothers,
cool.
I just want to say I put my email address in there just in case anybody ever needs to get in touch with me.
All right. Thanks a lot, brother.
Thank you, bro.
Take it easy, brothers.
All right. John, so it's the information, I guess, on the chat line. Do you got access to that chat line too? Because all the chats, because they put some emails up, other information, links and stuff. Is there a way that they get, you know, you can share that as well, or what?
That's what I'm going to do now. I've been writing it down, so I'm gonna make sure that I get everything before I punch on out, because I can edit this part of the event. So, yep, I'm gonna get it down and send that to you so we can distribute that on out. And like I said, then I'm gonna go ahead and either try to provide a link or the actual stream for this event too. So,
all right, cool.
All right, my brother. Well, thank you once again.
Bro, I appreciate you.
Hey, you know what? It's interesting how we can make a lot out of a little bit.
Right, exactly.
Because we did it.
Exactly. You know?
All right.
All right, bro. Thank you. Appreciate you. Enjoy your holiday, man. I'll see you next time.
All right, then. Peace.
All right, cool. Peace.